Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a breaking live news show. Mason Mount out injured. Nypan to Manchester United could be advancing. There could be some late movement going in there. Jadon Sancho, what's the latest on his potential exit? Is Sancho coming to United? Is Sancho going to Chelsea? Is Sancho going to Juventus? Is Sancho staying at United? What is the latest on the Raheem Sterling deal? Victor Lindelof and ERIKSEN could still leave. Mason Mount is injured, but for how long? What is the latest on injuries? What is the latest on UGARTE? McTominay, the England squad is out. Guys, please do hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news as we now dive into the stories going about. So let's start with Nypan to Manchester United. So Nypan is a player we played in pre-season. He plays for Rosenborg and he was unbelievable against us. He's an unbelievable 17-year-old kid, and a lot of Nypan and Manchester United stories have been coming out. Manchester United is still interested in Norwegian wonder kid Sverre Nypan, who has been touted as the next Martin Odegaard. The 17-year-old previously said it would be a dream to play for Manchester United, but Arsenal also want to enter the race for the Rosenborg midfielder. So there's reports that in the final day of the window, Man United and Arsenal could be in a race to sign Nypan, this young 17-year-old Rosenborg midfielder. It was also said that Manchester United is still interested in Nypan. The player himself is a massive United fan, but Arsenal also want to enter the race, but no deal is possible before the January window. So let's talk about Nypan to United. It could be a little bit like the Amad Diallo deal we did last year, which is basically saying that we could get Nypan this summer, and then because of Brexit rules, he can't come to United till he's 18. He can't come to Man United till he's 18, so we could get Nypan this summer. And then what we might do is we might just loan him back out. We sign Nypan, we loan him back out till January. Then when he turns 18, he can officially come and join United and play for us and join in the January window. United have been watching Nypan for a while. I'm going to show you some older stories on Nypan, and he's one of the highest rated 17-year-olds in football in Norway. Unbelievable talent. He played us in pre-season and, really stood out as well. So, I'm all for Nypan to Manchester United, whether it happens or not will be interesting to see. But apparently it's a race between United and Arsenal to do a late deal and then loan him back out, and then he'd come and join in January as well. Nypan could be a good player, but had some injuries already, says Ander. There's definitely risks with these kind of deals. I think it depends on the price as well. But we've been interested in him in ages, but we could make a late move. And I said this now, United do have funds. United do have funds to maybe do a surprise move or maybe do a late move in the window. I've always said this because the way I look at it is we've sold McTominay for 30 million. Sancho's set to go. ERIKSEN could go as well. We were told that we have the funds for UGARTE even if McTominay is not sold. We've now sold McTominay. We're now set to sell Sancho. Man United probably have the funds for one more signing after UGARTE. Whether they do it or not is the question. I think if I look at Manchester United and I look at the situation that we're in, I do think that we would maybe bring in another signing after UGARTE if we thought it was the right signing, but I think the funds are probably going to be left for the January window, because in January you might say, damn, we're really short in midfield, we need a number 8, maybe Collier wasn't what we were expecting. Maybe in January we say we really need a winger. Rashford and Anthony are still being bad. We need a winger. We cannot rely on Ahmed and Garnacho. There could be some injury issues there. Maybe we say need a left back in January. I think United is saving funds because they know in January that they may need to invest funds depending on how the season goes, what the injuries are as well. So I wouldn't be totally surprised if Manchester United were just looking to save funds as well. But it was said that Manchester United is still interested in Nypan, and the player himself is a United fan, but Arsenal also wants to enter the race. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Nypan now, the kind of player he is, and why I think this would be a really good deal for United as well. Collier is the age he should be really getting rotation minutes this term. Yeah, Collier is 20 years of age. I'd like to see him get rotation minutes. He came on versus City in the Community Shield and had a really good game. The only reason he didn't come on versus Fulham and didn't come on versus Brighton, I think, was because we were drawing and losing at the point. I think Collier is a guy that if we're 1-0 up and we've got a lead to defend with 20 minutes to go, I think I can see him coming on fresh legs for Casemiro, potentially Maino as well, who I think the system isn't 100% set up to copy Maino's strengths yet, if I'm going to be totally honest. But Nypan, born in 2006, is what Tom has said here, is a player worth getting to know over the next few years. The midfielder's hat-trick last night means he has 10 goals and assists in 18 matches for Rosenborg. He now has 11 because he literally got one the other day. And United among teams tracking his progress. So I looked at his statistics here. 11 goal contributions in 19 games. And he's not like an attacking player. He can play centre-forward, but he predominantly plays as like a number 8 and a number 10. He's been compared to Martin Odegaard, and I think he could be the long-term Bruno replacement. I think potentially the long-term future of United's midfield could be like Nypan, Kobe Maino, UGARTE potentially, or even that KONE guy that we signed. Like Man United in 5 years could have I'm not saying that this will happen, but Man United in 5 years could have a midfield three of the KONE 17-year-old guy we brought in, Kobe Maino, and Nypan, and what an unbelievable midfield that would be. What an unbelievable midfield that can be. He cannot come this summer, by the way, only in January. Yeah, I mentioned that in the video. It's one of those, you know, when we signed Amad Diallo, we signed him in the summer, then we loaned him back to Atalanta, and then he joined in January. Tottenham signed Lucas Bergvall in January. They loaned him back, and obviously Lucas Bergvall was joined in summer. It's quite a common thing in football with youngsters because of Brexit rules. Certain players can't play in the Premier League till they're 18. So a lot of Premier League clubs will sign 17-year-olds and then loan them back to the clubs. You know, Esteval will not join Chelsea till he's 18, unless he is 18 now. Like Chelsea signed a lot of kids, but they're still abroad. They cannot come into England till they're 18 because of Brexit rules. So he's someone that we could sign tomorrow, could sign today, and then he would come in January as well. So here's a little bit of context about what we know about the player that United have been looking at for a while. Nypan has been discussed internally in recent weeks after being regularly observed. United's interest cannot be formalised until the January window after he turns 18, but Rosenberg midfielder Nypan, 17, is on Manchester United's wish list, and United see him as an investment for the future, and the plan could be to secure him and send him out on loan. Nypan has been compared to Odegaard, so it suggests that United are interested in doing a late deal for Nypan, now that Arsenal have expressed an interest in Nypan. So I think what the situation is, if I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, is Man United have always liked Nypan. Man United have always been following Nypan. But now Arsenal have all of a sudden expressed the interest in the player. Man United are thinking, should we move? Should we get this deal done? And then we get him in January, just because we don't want to lose out on this guy to Arsenal. We lost Lucas Bergvall because of Brexit rules. He went to Tottenham. I think he's going to be an unreal player for Tottenham. I don't think United will want to miss out on Nypan. People are saying Shea Lacey and Nypan in the sort of half spaces in 5 years would be insane. It absolutely would be, assuming both players live up to their potential. Some players saying that Lacey's better than Nypan and could technically be. Who knows? But he's held talks with United, he's held talks with Arsenal, and the player's dream move would be United. And there's reports saying that United could make a late-minute move tomorrow, a little bit like they did with Pelistri and Amad Diallo on deadline day 3 years ago as well. But he had a really good game yesterday. I can't show you the clip of his game because obviously I don't own the footage, but I'm going to show you some interesting facts on Nypan here. And I think this is a player that we could get. I think if we're going to do a deal after UGARTE, I think it would be a signing like this. That's a younger player that we probably don't see till January. And yesterday, he played centre mid. He played as an advanced 8. So like a James Maddison kind of type role, but like or what Kobe Maino could potentially do. He got 1 assist, 2 key passes, 1 big chances created, 3 out of 6 successful long balls, 2 out of 3 successful dribbles, 7 out of 11 ground duels, 3 tackles. He put in a very good performance if we're going to go off the stats. I'm not going to pretend I watched the performance, but looking off his stats, you can predict that he put in a good performance, and looking off the video, you can predict he had a good performance without looking at it. Apparently, he's been putting in phenomenal performances at 17 in the Norwegian League, which at 17 to put in those kind of performances, I know it's the Norwegian League, it's still special, you know, it's still a physical league. He's still playing with fully grown men. Haaland came from the Norwegian League, and look how good he is. You know, Odegaard, Haaland, you know, some of the talents in the Norwegian League that stand out, you know, do end up becoming top players. He got a hat-trick last week as well when he was playing a little bit further up the pitch, but he's been playing as the most advanced of the midfielders, a creative player, and he's a boyhood United fan. And Christopher Michael has said that United are interested in Nypan. The player himself is a massive fan of United, but Arsenal want to enter the race and hold concrete talks soon. Man United has great appeal in Norway, but they must be careful not to miss out. So Man United reportedly could make a late move for Nypan tomorrow, amid Arsenal potentially trying to get the deal over the line as well. Man United should make a move for Nypan, even though they've got the likes of Kobe Maino and Shea Lacey. Well, Shea Lacey's more similar to Nypan than Kobe Maino, 100%. But this could be a really exciting one to watch. We've had a fair bit of luck with Norwegian signings as well over the years, says Alex. Exactly. I mean, for me, when you're signing a player from Sporting Lisbon or you're signing a player from Norway, considering how we've kind of lucked out, I'm all for it as well. Shea Lacey got injured last year. He'll be fit. And yeah, Shea Lacey is an unbelievable player, but he's just got injured. Someone said, come on, you Spurs. We'll just talk about Bergvall, actually, how United missed out on him. And United fans always a massive plus, exactly. He would pick Man United over Arsenal, but the question is, how badly do United want him? We've got the funds. We've been watching him for a while. You know, how bad do United want this? Someone said Maino missed out on United training. Is Maino injured as well? Don't tell me Kobe Maino's injured. Don't tell me Kobe Maino's injured. Let me check this now. There's nothing about Kobbie Mainoo being injured that I can see. No, it's just Mason Mount that's injured. I don't know where people are getting news that Kobbie Mainoo is injured. There's no information coming out of Kobbie Mainoo being injured as well. United should have got Xavi Simons instead of Mount last summer. No, I said last summer I wouldn't have signed Mason Mount. I would have signed Declan Rice. But at the end of the day, I said I can see why United are signing Mount, but his injury prone is annoying, and we'll talk about Mount in a minute as well. If Lacey can stay fit, he's 10 times more talented than Nypan. I mean, Shea Lacey is the most talented player in English football if he could stay fit, but he can't stay fit. I think Shea Lacey and Mikey Moore are probably the two most talented players to come through in the next gen of English football, both 17. I think Mikey Moore might be 18 now. Or is he, no, he's 17. He just turned 17, was 16. They're both 17, Shea Lacey and Mikey Moore. They're definitely, obviously Mikey Moore's at Tottenham. They're definitely the two most exciting, but Shea Lacey can't stay fit. And if he's getting injuries that young, that is a little bit of a worry there. So people are saying we shouldn't get Shea Lacey. There are people saying we shouldn't get Nypan because we've got Shea Lacey. But imagine Real Madrid saying we shouldn't get Mbappe because we've got, Rodrigo, Endrick, Vinicius. Real Madrid wouldn't do that. You should get Nypan even if we've got Shea Lacey, because not every academy's player is going to make it as good as Shea Lacey is. Angel Gomez, big shout out to him, made the England squad. He didn't make it United. I think he deserved a chance over Lingard and Pereira. Angel Gomez, in my opinion, should have been playing for Manchester United over Lingard and Pereira, and that was incredibly frustrating. But I think at the end of the day, he didn't make it at United, but he's a good player. He's now playing for England. Shea Lacey is a good player, like Angel Gomez, different level in the academy. He may not make it for United. So to say we shouldn't sign Nypan because we've got Shea Lacey, I think is, as much as I rate Shea Lacey, I think is silly thinking as well. It's all hypothetical with developing players. So many variables, whether they make it or not. Yeah, injuries, where they go out on loan, how we develop them, so many things impact a good player. You can be the best player in the academy, but you might not suit Ten Hag's system, so you might not work in the United first team. You might get a bad loan move. You might get unlucky with injuries. To be honest, when you're that young, I think your career determines so much over the club you're at. I really do think it is. To be fair, the signings we have made look to have the perfect mentality. De Ligt won 3 trophies in 3 different leagues. Mazraoui's won 2 titles, I think. Yeah, Mazraoui and De Ligt, top mentality. UGARTE has apparently got top mentality. He's one of the hardest working players that loves to tackle, win back the ball. He's apparently, South American players apparently sort of known for their work rate. Xerxes always been a top professional apparently as well. Obviously came through the Bayern Munich academy with some of the other players. All the signings United made have reportedly had, top mentalities, and that in Lenny Euro 18, to be that mature, to play regular football at 17, 18 and league earn a very physical league. That Lenny Euro is also quite a top player as well. Gomez was too physically small for the modern PL. He makes Ahmed look a giant. Yeah, I think Angel Gomez was a fantastic player, but he was just maybe not physically ready for the Premier League. I always thought, though, when Pereira and Lingard were stinking it up under Ollie in the 4-3-3-1, and Angel Gomez had that really good pre-season, I was just hoping that Ollie had given Angel Gomez a chance. Nypan is better than any of United's youth players except Jack Fletcher, maybe the same level. He probably plays the same position as Jack Fletcher. I think United have so many. I'm going to say this now, and I do want to get into the Mount news and the other news. But Man United's academy is so talented. We've signed KONE to come into the academy. We've signed Obi Martin and Lassalle to come into the academy this summer. So 3 brilliant players. We've got Harry Amas. We've got Shea Lacey. We've got Jack Fletcher. We've got Bean Sheary, JC Fitzgerald, Ama Ibrahimov. Ethan Wheatley, Ethan Williams, Ethan Ennis, I think is a really good player. The level of talent in United's academy. But Jack Fletcher, for me, Shea Lacey, Harry Amas, they're the standout 3. Ibrahimov, potentially how he develops over this next year. So much talent in the academy. Kone's coming in, Obi Martin's coming in, Lassalle's coming in, Nypan potentially in the youth. I think, Man United have always had one of the best academies in football, and now you've got Ineos looking to further improve that. We won all the trophies we could win bar the Youth Cup last year in England for the under-18s. The level of talent we've got in the academy is so exciting at the moment, guys. I don't think people realise. I think Carrington slept on. Everyone says, I saw someone make a post of the top 5 academies in England, and they put Arsenal's academy above United. Other than Saka, who's come through at Arsenal in the last few years? Okay, Namwari looks good, but you can't tell me Arsenal's academy is better than United's. I know Rashford hasn't been good, and I know McTominay was hit and miss, but we had Rashford and McTominay being regular players the last 5 years. Dean Henderson and Sam Johnston are Premier League goalkeepers. You look at other players, Garnacho, Kobbie Mainoo now starting for us week in, week out at such a young age. We've got so many talented players from our academy. Johnny Evans is technically a United Academy player as well. So, Ted and Mengi went to Luton. He's now been looked at by other clubs. Angel Gomez, is now being called up for England. I don't get this. I don't get why Carrington's so disrespected by rivals. I think we've got such a talented academy as well. Excited to see who starts versus the Scousers. UGARTE is apparently should be registered by that game. We're probably going to announce and register UGARTE tomorrow, so he'll probably be on the bench. Don't think he starts. Injuries are creeping in again, just like last season. Need some loan signings. I think Mount's just become injury prone. Mount never got any injuries until the season before we signed him, where he picked up loads, and maybe that should have been a red flag to avoid. Maybe that should have been a big red flag to absolutely avoid as well. Someone is saying, yeah, Alice, do you think we could have an injury crisis again this year? I mean, we could. Lenny Euro's injured, Hoyland's injured, Mount's injured. But I think Mount's just an injury-prone player. It's like, if we had Martial, and Martial picked up an injury, I wouldn't be concerned the injury crisis is beginning. I would just say it's Martial, he always gets injured. I mean, that's how I feel with Mason Mount being out, if I'm going to be honest. Andreas surprised me. He did well as hard as the PO was. He seemed destined for abroad leagues. Yeah, Pereira was a good player, but he wasn't good enough for United. Like, I always liked Andreas Pereira. I always thought he was a good player, but it wasn't quite United level. But he's been unbelievable at Fulham as well. Our academy won 3-2 against our first team opposition in the Carabao. Who's that? I don't know what you mean by that. Anyway, someone said, do you think you could make a late move for Rabiot or Amrabat? I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't see it happening. With Mount, we have to question the medical staff, the player and management. A player injured for 75% of the time, we need to get to the bottom of this stuff. And I agree. We're going to talk about, should we get the Mason Mount slides up? I do want to go back to talking about Nypan in a second, because there is a little bit more information on this Nypan guy out. But if you just joined the stream, I'm going to get the Mason Mount news up for you guys here. Going to get the Mason Mount news and story up here. So, as said, Mason Mount has picked up a hamstring injury and is set to be out for a number of weeks. Mason Mount is set to be sidelined for 4 to 5 weeks with a hamstring injury. So, I like Mason Mount. And despite him coming off at half-time versus Brighton, which was due to an injury, Mason Mount had a good game versus Brighton. Mason Mount pressed well. The press was so much better with Mason Mount in the squad. I don't think Mason Mount played badly versus Brighton. I don't think he played badly versus Fulham. But when Mason Mount plays, you cannot play an actual striker, which means we can't have anyone to get on the end of those crosses, which we were clearly lacking. So, as much as I like Mason Mount, no one is there to get on the end of the crosses because when we play Mount, we can't play a striker because I don't know how Mount and Bruno works together. I think Mount never had a big injury problem, and then all of a sudden in the last year, Mount's sort of become a very injury-prone player, shall we say. And he seems to continue to be injury-prone. And I'm going to be honest, I feel sorry for Mount. I can't give him stick for something he can't avoid. It's not his fault he's getting injured. He's been working really hard on his fitness. He said it himself. But it is frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. And I think you have to look at the medical stuff. You have to look at the management. You have to look at how we've managed him and how he has become so injury-prone. And I think the Mount situation is incredibly frustrating. Numbers-wise, they just can't all make it. We are a buying club, which always has to make it even tougher. Oh, that was when we were talking about academy players as well. Yeah, I think, with academy players, we've got to buy top talents from abroad and rely on academy players as well. Kai says, feel bad for Mount. I always feel bad for athletes that get injured. He looked fitter and was playing well. Yeah, he had a good pre-season. He was bright in the first 2 games, was improving the press. I didn't feel like we needed Mount necessarily when we signed him, and we spent a lot of money on him, but the injuries he's getting is unfair as well. Mount's on 250k a week, and with a lot of on and off injuries, it's going to not be easy to get rid of him, and that's the worry with Mount. Mount has to perform this season. I like Mason Mount. I believe there's a good player in Mason Mount, and I really hope it works out for Mason Mount at United. But he has to perform this season. He has to deliver this season. Ineos's rule is you've got 2 seasons to deliver, you're out. If you were bad last season, you're bad again this season, you're up for sale. Man United did not put Rashford up for sale. They did not put Mason Mount up for sale. But if Mason Mount has a poor season and Marcus Rashford has a poor season, both those players will be up for sale if they both have poor seasons. Guys, I just want to say this now. We're on 90,980 subscribers. We're 20 subscribers away from 91k. So if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, please do subscribe down below. It would absolutely mean a lot to me and the channel. Working really hard at the moment, obviously, as we're getting to deadline day. But there could be a late-minute move for Nypan, which will be interesting as well. Alice, do you think Sterling will join United? I don't know. Only if he really lowers his wages, I think it's possible. But in all honesty, no, I don't see Sterling to United happening unless he lowers his wages. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I thought Shaw Thoughts on Shaw? I'm still losing my patience. Shaw, Mason Mount, it's frustrating because I think they're both good players, particularly Luke Shaw. I do really rate Luke Shaw, but with the injuries, it's getting to the point where it's almost like I can understand people wanting to get rid as well. Homegrown quota players plays into certain players getting more time, 100%. Obviously, with him being an English player, he ticks the home quota thing, which is another reason why players sign him. But let's see what Mason Mount has put on Instagram here. This was Mason Mount's statement. During the last game, I picked up a minor muscle issue. I've checked it out and it looks like I'll be out for a few games. Leading up to and during preseason, I worked hard to get my fitness back to where it needs to be, and I felt re-energized, sharp, and ready for the season. I wanted you to hear it directly from me how frustrated I am, as I expect you are too. I will do everything possible to be in my best shape and help the team. So it is disappointing that Mason Mount is out, but he should only be out for a short time. But I think he can't get a break. We can play a striker, but we can't play Bruno. It depends on the opposition how we need to play. Mount and Bruno would be rotated. I think the problem is Mason Mount is a good player, but if you play Mason Mount and Bruno in their best roles, we can't play a striker, which means we're creating chances and no one's getting on the end of it because no one has that box presence. Or we play Mount and Bruno in midfield, but that leaves the six with a lot to do. So it's almost like, well, Mount's good, and you don't want Mount on the wing with Xerxes because Xerxes wants pacey wings. He can facilitate to play in behind. Mount doesn't have the pace of Garnacho and Rashford. So it's almost like it's almost like if you could have 12 players, Mason Mount would work so well, but you can't have 12 players. So it is about finding his best role as well. Chiesa to Liverpool for 12 million to steal. I'd rather United discuss the swap deal with Chiesa. Apparently he was a United fan. I don't know if he's a United fan than Sterling. I agree. If we're going to do a swap deal with Chelsea for Sterling, why didn't we go to Juventus and discuss the possibility of doing a swap deal for Chiesa? Because any day of the week, I take Chiesa over Sterling. Chiesa for 12 million. Now, I'm not the biggest rater of Chiesa. I wasn't the biggest fan of Chiesa to United. Okay, like I'm not his biggest rater in the sense of he's not Elise. He's not Pedro Neto, in my opinion, because of his injuries. But Chiesa's a good player. Chiesa is a better player than Raheem Sterling, and Chiesa would improve United. So if we were going to do some kind of deal with Juventus, I would have liked Chiesa to come in. If we want to do a swap deal, it would be Chiesa, not Sterling. I'm not the biggest fan of the swap deal. I want cash. I want cash for Sancho. I want Sancho gone. I want cash. But you can't tell me that Man United would do a swap deal involving Sterling, but wouldn't do a swap deal involving Chiesa. I know Chiesa's injury prone and we want to move away from that. I know Chiesa's dropped off a little bit since his injury, but Chiesa had a much better season last year for Juventus than Sterling did for Chelsea. I spoke to a Juventus fan yesterday and he said he wouldn't have sold Chiesa and he thinks that Liverpool have got him on the cheap. So I'm surprised United didn't explore that. I am surprised United didn't explore that. Mount could not play Erik Ten Hag's style. The pressing is causing the injuries. But Mount was signed because that's what he was so good at, pressing his off-the-ball work. That's why he was signed, because Eriksen could do the on-the-ball work, but not the off-the-ball work. And Ten Hag noticed our midfield was athletically struggling. So the reason we signed certain players was to improve the athleticism in our midfield, but it's almost burning Mount out as well. Rashford thrives when Shaw's in the squad. I'm going to say this now on Marcus Rashford. Don't write him off. Don't write Marcus Rashford off this season just because he's had 2 wishy-washy games. Wait until Luke Shaw's back and let's see what Marcus Rashford can do. Wait until Luke Shaw's back. That's what I'm going to say, because I'm going to show you something on Marcus Rashford, and people always give me stick for defending Rashford. And I think if he doesn't perform this season, I sell him. I love Marcus Rashford. I'm probably one of the most lenient fans when it comes to Marcus Rashford. But yeah, if he doesn't perform this season, I'd sell him. But I said this on Rashford. Marcus Rashford got 14 on-penalty goal contributions in 22-23. For context, Ballon d'Or favourite Vinny Jr. Got 32 last season playing for a brilliant Real Madrid side. If Rashford can find his confidence and get his form up again, I think United can have a big season. And what I'm trying to say is I'm not bigging up Rashford here, but I'm going to tell you something in my opinion. I think how our season goes massively depends on Rashford. We need a big season from Rashford. Because if Rashford is crap, we're relying on an injury-prone young Ahmad having his first real season and a very young Garnacho that's raw and a young Højlund. We need Rashford in form, because there's no doubt that Rashford was crap last season. But if Rashford is good, he's good. There's no doubt about that. So I think the best thing we can do is admit that Rashford had a bad season last year and just say, you know what, we need a confident Rashford and we need him to do his best. I do think if Rashford has a good season, United have a good season. Because Rashford contributes so much to the attack when he's good, but the problem is when he's bad, he contributes nothing. So I do think, with players like Rashford and I think I'm going to judge him when Luke Shaw's back. I think he always plays better when Luke Shaw is back as well, if I'm going to be honest as well. I'd sell Rashford. I'd get rid of him now. Look, if a massive bid came in for Rashford from PSG, it is one that you have to look at and say, you know what, maybe it's best to cash in. But I think if Rashford has a good season, we'll have a good season. And that's obviously quite a risky thing. but I generally think we need Rashford to have a good season because he'll get goals as well. Some people are saying, is UGARTE eligible to play on Sunday? Hopefully. United's plan in regards to Manuel UGARTE is very much like, let's try and get him done and signed before midday. Mount could play right wing, maybe, but I don't like Mount on the wing. Chiesa on the cheap is a different conversation. Good player who's dealt with injuries and negative systems. Yeah, like I think Chiesa on the cheap is a much better deal than Sterling. So someone's saying Sterling to Arsenal just now. Is that actually a thing? You know what? That would be such an Arsenal move. Arsenal seem to get the Chelsea rejects and make it better as well. Where's the news coming out about Sterling to Arsenal? Oh, Arsenal have been offered Raheem Sterling. He'd be willing to take a significant pay cut. Sterling is said to have accepted a proposed wage from Arsenal. So there's news coming out from a reliable Arsenal source that Sterling has agreed to join Arsenal. Breaking news, guys. Apparently Sterling's agreed to join Arsenal. Hope he proves us wrong, but I suspect we'll be looking to move Rashford on 2025. And I think that's the way to see it. It's Rashford, hopefully he proves people wrong, but if he doesn't perform, I think Rashford will be gone. If he cannot perform, I think he'll be gone as well. A left-footed overlapping left-back is missing from the team. And I do think, all I'm going to say is how much better did Rashford look with Harry Amos overlapping him in pre-season. Rashford had a good pre-season. Rashford missed a sitter versus City, or was that gone actually? Rashford missed a sitter versus Man City. Rashford didn't have the best game versus Brighton. He was okay versus Fulham. But Rashford looked really good in the pre-season games. And look, I know it's pre-season, it's not the actual season, but he had Harry Amos overlapping him in pre-season. And I will say this now, and Rashford has got to do better. 100%, he's got to do better. But it doesn't take a genius to say an overlapping left-back and Rashford is a different player. And unfortunately, it shouldn't be a situation where we're relying on overlapping left-back for Rashford to perform, but he's a much better player when there's an overlapping left-back there. Guys, I am 13 subscribers away from hitting 91k. I'm on the road to 100,000 subscribers. I'm on 90,967 subscribers. I'm 13 away from 91k. Sorry, 87. I'm 13 away from 91k, so please do subscribe if you're new. But I want to get back into the news. I want to get back into the stories as well. United basically funded Chelsea to buy Cole Palmer last season. Chelsea got one of the best young players in the world, and United couldn't play Mount the whole season. Horrible deal. You know what? If I could go back in time, I would have made United sign Cole Palmer and not Mason Mount. If I could go back in time and turn on some magic switch, that money that went on Mason Mount would be going on Cole Palmer, because at least Cole Palmer is better on the wing than Mason Mount. If I had a time machine, that's what I'd be doing. I do want to quickly get back into the Nypan news. So this was what Nypan said when he was asked about a move to United after we played him in pre-season. He said, it would obviously be a dream come true to play for Manchester United. I'm aware United have shown some interest, but I'm quite adamant that I don't want to open the door yet. I want to focus on Rosenborg and not think far ahead, which is fair. You couldn't be able to move to England until January anyway. So Nypan himself is saying he knows that United are interested in him. So Nypan himself has admitted, yeah, Man United are interested in me. And Arsenal now might make a move for Nypan, which is prompting United to maybe act quickly on Nypan, sign him, loan him back to Rosenborg so he can come in January so he doesn't go to Arsenal. Yeah, someone said Mount running and pressing is really, really good, but now his legs can't seem to do it, and that's what we brought him in to do, and that's concern. People said we didn't really need Mount at the time. That was board wasting money. If Ineos was here, don't see us signing Mount, which is fair as well. Alex says, I really like Nypan. Someone said if he has another bad season, Mount has to be out the door. Shaw has to be out the door next season. And there could be a massive clear out next season. And that's an interesting thing, because I want to get into talking about that. There could be a massive clear out next season. This season, we sold Greenwood. We should be selling Sancho. We sold Pellistri. We sold McTominay. We sold Mejbri. We could be selling Eriksen late. There's been a few, and we sold Wan-Bissaka. There's been a bit of a clear out. You look at Will Fish as well. You look at like some of the really young players like Odelay. There's been a little bit of a clear out this season. Martial's gone. Varane's gone on a free as well. Next season, there could be a big clear out. If Rashford doesn't perform, he's out next season. If Mount doesn't perform, he's out next season. Luke Shaw is expected to leave next season because of his injuries. Malacia could even leave next season. So next season, you're looking at United signing a left back, United replacing Rashford, United replacing Casemiro. You're looking at Maguire leaving next season. Lindelof, if he doesn't leave this season, leaves on a free next season. So that's two centre-backs. Both left-backs could go with the injury issues. So that's United needing another centre-back and two left-backs. Rashford could go if he doesn't find form. Anthony could go if he doesn't find form, which is United needing wingers. Casemiro is expected to go. Mason Mount could even be forced out if he can't find form. So you're looking at, you know, a massive clear out last year and another massive clear out next summer. Like next summer, I think will be bigger than this summer. And I think this summer's been big and I think this summer's been good. A lot of players out, a lot of good signings in. But I generally think next summer, when Ineos have had a year here, they're fully in the door. I think next summer is going to be the biggest year of United news and the biggest year of United transfers. I generally think next summer is so big for United. But you do look at it and think, there's a lot. There's a lot going on at United, and there's a lot that could be happening next season when you look at it and when you deep it. It is mad. But anyway, I want to continue back into some news. I want to continue back into stories. Alice, you said that last year and let Luke Shaw be back, but that never happened, and Shaw got injured again, and Rashi was average. Don't want players who are on 250k a week to depend on others, and that's absolutely fair. We need Luke Shaw back for Rashford to get back to his best, and who knows if Luke Shaw's even gonna come back at this rate as well. Why hasn't anyone gone on Eze? Because Crystal Palace want like 70 million, and I think he's a good player, but I think because of FFP and stuff, people are a bit wary about spending 75 million. Arteta's spoken a lot to Sterling. Yes, Sterling could be going to Arsenal, as a report coming out now. The only down for this transfer window is we haven't brought in the left back. A right footer at left back is bad for whoever plays left wing, and I agree. I think that's the biggest negative this window is I think just a left back for balance. Now, I think that Mazraoui and Delo, I'll happily have them at right back and left back, but it's more that if Mazraoui gets injured, we move Delo back to right back, and then all of a sudden you've got Lindelof playing left back, or Lissandro Martinez playing left back, which I did not like versus Manchester City when he was trialled there in the first half as well. I'd rather us take the risk on Harry Amas than play Lindelof left back. I'm not going to lie. Mason Mount is a cup game Bruno replacement. I think Mason Mount is a good player to use when I feel like Manchester City have so many good players in the squad that they find a way to utilise them and fit them all in at once and have their roles. And I think Mason Mount is that to us, but we're not at the point where we're where Man City are. If you're where Man City and Arsenal are, you just need really good depth, and you have those players like Mason Mount and your Trossards, and for Arsenal that don't always start, but they're a good player, and they, you know, they're just not good enough to start. But I think we're not where Arsenal are and we are where City are, so it makes Mason Mount's role a bit more questionable. Amas needs a look second half of the season. Erik ten Hag has done well with young players, true. If Erik ten Hag said that Harry Amas needs another 2-3 months to develop physically before he throws him in games, I completely trust Erik ten Hag on that. I think, you know, we threw Maynard in because I believe Maynard was ready. Harry Amas showed promise in pre-season. I think Harry Amas second half of the season, it would be nice to see him get a look in as well. And I think him learning from Luke Shaw as well would be good. Alice, what happens if Shaw goes? Does Rashford stop playing? Well, no, we get a left back that overlaps with Rashford. I'm talking about a left-footed left back that overlaps as well. Hey everyone, hope you're well. I haven't been on this channel in a long time. Good to be back. Huge game this weekend. Do hope we win against Liverpool. Big up JB. Big up everybody in the chat. How are you guys feeling for Liverpool? Let me know in the chat. How are you feeling for Liverpool? Because I'm nervous, because I think if we lose, we go into international break with 3 points out of 9 for the first 2 games. But if we win, we get 6 out of 9 points, which is probably what we were expecting when we saw that Liverpool was our third game. We just weren't expecting to lose them to Brighton. I think Brighton and Liverpool, 2 of your first 3 games, was difficult for United. And I think if we lose, you get 2 weeks of negativity in an international break. And I always think a win before the end of the international break is such a must. So I really hope that we can go in with a win. I really hope we can go into the international break with a win. Amos overlapped Rashford in pre-season and then was ignored most of the time. Rashford decided to lose the ball going inside into traffic and said, I thought Rashford had a good pre-season in all honesty. Hi Alice, I just subscribed to your second channel, just found out about it tonight. Yeah, people forget I have a second channel. I don't do United content on my second channel because I do so much United content on this channel, it doesn't make sense. But Aquila Football is where I talk about Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, just the other big 6 clubs as well. Remember Depay looked good playing with Luke Shaw, then Luke Shaw broke his foot and Depay was horrible. Yeah, like I do think Luke Shaw brings out the best in his winger. And I think if England had had Luke Shaw and Anthony Gordon on their left-hand flank, they would have used their left flank a lot more as well. Guys, we've got 349 likes and we've got over 1,400 people watching. So if you've not hit that like button, please do go ahead and hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the 24-25 season. As we speak right now, we're on 90,974 subscribers, so 6 away from 91k. So big up everybody watching and tuning in. A lot of you are saying you're nervous. I think you could get a point. I mean, I want 3 points, but I think you could take a point versus Liverpool. People are saying 3-0 Liverpool. If we lose against Liverpool, then all hell will break loose. I think it depends. If we lose 5-0 to Liverpool, yes. If we lose 2-1 to Liverpool and we play well, it's the frustration, but it's, okay, look, we've played well. Like, we lost to Brighton, but I wasn't too concerned because I think we played quite well versus Brighton. we just defended like clowns. Like, we are the reason we lost to Brighton. We didn't lose to Brighton because we deserved to lose and play badly. We lost to Brighton because we did our own downfall. We lost to Brighton because we couldn't stay offside, we didn't score our chances, and we turned off at defending. You know, that wasn't that we were being outplayed by Brighton. It was those moments that we weren't there, and those can be changed. And that's why I think if Rashford can deliver this season, if we can put our chances away, we can stay on side and we can turn it on in defence, which I think we will with De Ligt coming in, we'll look a lot better. Chiesa might play on Sunday. He's a massive threat. De Ligt must start, not Harry Maguire. I think Maguire was all right, bar the mistake he made versus Brighton. But yeah, I agree. I'd love to see De Ligt start next to Martinez. That's going to be our long-term pairing. Do you know what? 5-5 versus Liverpool would be a very good name. Any news on Diao? No news. It was just said that United were watching him in case Sancho leaves. It's believed he has a 25 million release clause. Might be one to watch next season or January, though, as well. 1-1. I think a draw. Do you know what? I'm going to say it's a draw. I'm going to say we get a 1-1 draw versus Liverpool. But you know what? We didn't lose to Liverpool in 3 games last season. Obviously, this is Arne Slot and not Ten Hag. But Ten Hag, when it comes to those one-off games, can sometimes get his tactics right as well. Erik Ten Hag needs to integrate new signings. That could cost us. I agree now. I understand why he's slowing people in, but Xerxes should start, De Ligt should start. I think UGARTE, yeah, he can come off the bench because I don't think Casemiro's been bad in the last 3 games. But I'd like to see post-international break UGARTE thrown in the start as well because that is the long-term plan. By the way, you're definitely the most informative United channel. Should have more subscribers. Appreciate that, Bill. Really means a lot as well. Amad Diallo should start. I think Amad will start. The way that he subbed off Rashford for Garnacho makes me think that Amad will start. Now, I am going to say, I think Rashford is very good versus Liverpool at home. Rashford has 7 goals at home versus Liverpool, and Rashford causes Trent's problems. And I will say this, has Rashford been good? No. And does Garnacho deserve to start over Rashford? Yes. But if Ten Hag starts Rashford over Garnacho, people will lose their minds online. But I will tell you this now, Rashford versus Trent Alexander-Arnold, Rashford at home versus Liverpool. Rashford has always been quite good versus Liverpool when we're at home. Anfield's a different question, but when we've played Liverpool at home, Rashford has caused Trent issues. Now, I've watched Liverpool this season, and Trent's new role under Slot, he's pushing higher and wider, which means there is more space in behind if we go out wide. Now, Liverpool are very good off the ball structurally in the middle. It's really hard to break Liverpool down in the middle of the ball. But out wide, because the fullbacks, particularly Trent, pushes really high, there is space in that what would be Liverpool's right channel, our left attacking channel. So I do think if Rashford is on it, or even Garnacho, but I think the way I see it is Rashford causes Liverpool issues. If he's crap, Garnacho running against tired legs, 30 minutes to go, that left channel, I think that's where we're going to catch Liverpool out. So I can understand if Ten Hag starts Rashford, but I think, the question is that Amad and Garnacho on form, probably who deserves to start for United. Like, if you look at it on form, you look at who's been good, you would say, well, Amad Diallo and Garnacho, definitely the ones that deserve to start for United. Alice, what is your score prediction? I'd say my score prediction is going to be 1-1, I think. 1-1. Alice, you going to watch the Champions League draw? Well, we're not in it, so no. I just, do you know what? I only watch the Champions League draw if we're in it because they spend half an hour of the draw talking about themselves and then they do the draw so slowly. It is so infuriating. But the Champions League draw is the Champions League draw is at 5, but that means it starts at 5:30. So I'm just going to chill because I can't be bothered to wait for the Champions League draw. It's the Europa League draw today, actually. Europa League draw. Is the Europa League draw today? No, I think the Europa League draw will be tomorrow. I think the Europa League draw is tomorrow, to be honest. I'm not too bothered about the Europa League draw as well. 18 months. Someone said Man United 3, Liverpool 0. That would be brilliant. If we could beat Liverpool 3-0, that's what I want to see. De Ligt should have started against Brighton. If he had against Liverpool, we would have had more playing minutes before. He would have had more playing minutes before playing Liverpool. I get that as well. New league format is interesting, though. I agree. I think Europe's going to be really interesting this season because of the new league format and because of all the changes. It does make this whole Europa League stuff more interesting. Guys, we're 5 subscribers away from 91,000. We're on 90,999 subscribers. So, guys, I really want to hit 91k by the end of the stream. So please just do me a favor and subscribe if you're new. It will be greatly appreciated. But we have a lot of news and stories to get through that I didn't actually get through because I did go off waffling, and we've had quite a good conversation throughout today's live show. So I do apologise for not getting through a lot of the news as well. But if you've just joined, United look at Nypan, Arsenal looking at Nypan. United might make a last-minute deadline day move for Nypan and then loan him back out, and he can come in January when he turns 18 to stop Arsenal getting their hands on Nypan. Nypan is born in 2006, is a very, very highly rated young player and a special player as well. Oh, Fabrizio Romano is saying that Simikan's going to go to Saudi. That's silly of Simikan. He's a good player. Nypan obviously getting 11 goal contributions in 19 games, predominantly playing as a midfielder, so very good stats as well. And he has been discussed internally at United. United obviously like him. He's been compared to Martin Odegaard because he's Norwegian and he's a good young talent in the attacking midfield position as well. And I think he could bring. I think while we've got Shea Lacey and Jack Fletcher, you just don't know with young players and how they develop. It's really good to have lots of options as well. De Ligt, Xerxes, Garnacho start. I'd suspect we'd have beaten Brighton, says Alex. I do think De Ligt, Garnacho and Xerxes deserve to start next game as well. Hands off Arsenal when it comes to Nypan. Yeah, hands off, which may prompt United to do a deal now and then loan him back out to get Arsenal's hands off. The player obviously is a United fan. I just want to talk about a few other stories. Manchester United are actively looking to find a buyer for Victor Lindelof in the final few hours of the window, but Victor Lindelof himself doesn't seem bothered about leaving United because he knows he's going to have to cut his wages, and he knows if he leaves United on free, the new club he joins will give him a signing-on bonus. In regards to the Sterling-Sancho situation, it was said, Manchester United have discussed the possibility of a loan deal for Raheem Sterling, but are unwilling to pay the majority of his enormous wages. Juventus are the front-runners to sign Jadon Sancho, though the player prefers a move to Chelsea. Manchester United are hoping to sell Sancho permanently before the deadline. United are mulling over 11th hour move for Sterling, who's now been reliably linked to Arsenal, and that a Sterling-Sancho swap deal is on the cards, but talks haven't advanced. Man United do not expect any more high-profile sales after selling Sancho. Sane rounded up what Sky had said. Chelsea and Juventus are both pushing for Sancho. Chelsea want a permanent deal. Juventus only want a loan. So United may more likely move him to Chelsea. Juventus feel he wants Chelsea now, and that Man United wants selling permanently, loaning him not ruled out though, and Chelsea move more likely depending on players leaving Sterling. Chelsea trying to find a club for Sterling, United considering him now Arsenal, so Arsenal could buy Sterling so then we can sell Sancho, and that Man United will allow Sancho to leave regardless of whether Sterling arrives or not. And Sancho's personal terms are being discussed with both clubs as well. So I do expect some good developments on the sort of Sancho-Sterling situation a little bit later on today. I think we'll get a conclusion tomorrow. Is Sancho going to Juventus? Is Sancho going to Chelsea? Is Sterling going to United? Is he going to Arsenal? Is he leaving Chelsea? I think we'll get some clarity and more information on that later on. As Muppeteer said, there's a possibility Sancho could stay at United. There definitely is. United have made it clear, we're only going to sell Sancho if it's on our terms. We're not Man United that's going to give you Sancho on loan and pay 50% of his wages like we would in the past. We are showing that we are strong in the transfer market now. We need to rebuild our image in the transfer market of not selling players for cheap and not overbuying players. And I think United have said, while they want to get rid of Sancho, they want to make sure that clubs know you can't get Man United players on the cheap anymore. City got 80 million for Julian Alvarez. Good player, but 80 million. Because City have made it clear, we're not desperate to sell the player. So, and they've got a strong stance in the window. So clubs know if you want to buy a player off City, you've got to pay full price. So that's where United are at. You've got to pay what we want for Sancho. Because United, Omar Barada is one of the reasons that City have such a good reputation in the transfer window of getting their way. And Omar Barada is trying to install that at United. So, we've got to make sure we get our way in the window. We've got to make sure that we're not letting ourselves get pushed around in the transfer window. That 40 million for Sancho, he must go, or loan with an obligation to buy as well. That's what must happen. Breaking news coming out now by Sky Sports. I'm told Chelsea and Juventus are both close to an agreement in principle with Man United to sign Sancho. It will be up to Sancho which one he wants to choose. Guys, breaking Sancho news. Breaking Sancho news coming in now from Sky Sports here. So we could get some clarity on Sancho tonight even. Breaking, I'm told Chelsea and Juventus are both close to an agreement in principle with Manchester United to sign Jadon Sancho. It will be up to Sancho which club he wants to choose. So it's just coming out right now that Man United are very close to agreeing a deal with both Chelsea and Juventus for Sancho, and it'll be up to Sancho. So what could the deal be? Lots of indications coming up as well. So lots of news coming out this second that Chelsea and Juventus are very close to agreeing a deal for Sancho as well. And then maybe there's indications of Sterling going to Arsenal. There's indications of Nypan coming to United. I do think this final day of the transfer window is going to be really, really exciting as well. Mason Mount has only managed to play 920 minutes since signing for United. It's mad. Up to Sancho, should be up to us. Sell him abroad. Yeah, the decision's up to Sancho. I think Sancho's more suited to the Italian league, and there's so many players at Chelsea that play in Sancho's position that Sancho to Juventus under Motta makes more sense for him, but he knows Maresca. Sancho knows Maresca, and he's from London, so I can see why he preferred Chelsea, but Sancho to Juventus makes so much more sense. It just does. We need a right winger to replace Sancho. Sancho might suit Juve better than Chelsea. We don't want Sterling. He's another Dan James. Not that bad. And Chiesa would have been good. Look, if we were going to do a swap deal, Chiesa, not Sterling. But I don't think we're interested in doing a swap deal. I think we've made it clear we want to cash. We want to sell this player. We want to cash in on this player. I think United made it very clear. Like, we're selling, but we want cash. But in all honesty, Diao Real Betis, from information I've got, is definitely one to watch. Guys, we're 4 subscribers away from 91k. 4. We're on 90,996 subscribers. 4 away from 91k. So if we can hit that, that'd be amazing. My goal was to hit 90k before the end of the transfer window, and we did smash that, which was amazing. We're now on 100k by the end of the season. Whether we'll do that or not will be interesting to see. But look, I want to thank everyone for the support on the channel, no matter what happens as well. Someone said Sancho, Rashford, Shaw, Anthony are not United players. Sancho will be gone. I think Rashford, Shaw, Anthony, if they do not deliver next season, or Shaw of his injuries, could be gone next season as well. Don't really want Sterling at United. He's just not that good anymore. Yeah, we've got to revive Anthony and Rashford's career this season. I don't want a third winger's career that we've got to revive this season. Do you know what I mean as well? Someone says loving the United kit as well. Oh, thank you very much. I don't always wear my United kit, but I put it on today. I put it on today for this video because I was feeling good about United, so I thought I'd put it on. But listen, people, I think I'm going to wrap up the live show here. I'm probably going to be back tonight, either a live show or video, depends on the news, how breaking it is. But I should be back tonight with a live show or a video, so make sure you subscribe with the post notification bell on. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Bye.